we had our demand pull, right, and our cost push, right, so that there was two different ways that we could see prices going up. We could see prices going up because we saw basically increases in demand making prices go up, or because we could see costs increasing. So go all the way back to our just good old-fashioned supply and demand curve. All right, so that here's some Q1, here's some P1, right? If we see some increase in demand, right, we know we're essentially getting these increases in prices. But you have to think of it, it's not just one good this is happening for, it's for a whole bunch of different goods throughout the whole economy for a variety of reasons. And we'll see why those reasons are happening a little bit later on in Unit 3. Or we could have things like costs, quantity and price, right? Right, so we know that if costs are increasing, prices increase. Right? P2, Q2, right? The price of electricity is going up, or oil is going up, or something like that, right? Whatever it is that it might be. So that, in essence, and then once again, this is not just for one or two goods, but it's for a whole bunch of different goods all at the same time. You can also think of these guys as being dynamic, right? So that in essence, I mean, you could think of both demand and supply increasing at the same rate, then you're going to see basically prices staying the same. I mean, that's what you see in the economy, right? You see as the economy grows larger and larger and larger, more and more homes are purchased, more and more CDs are purchased, more, or I guess songs, more and more coffees purchased and shirts and things like that. But sometimes maybe supply is increasing a little bit faster than demand, and so prices are staying the same. Or maybe demand's increasing a little bit faster than the supply, so maybe the prices would go up slightly, etc. Right? We also saw that we had these unexpected and unexpected inflation. And we had expected inflation. And we said those things are basically exactly what they sound like. Expected inflation is inflation that we expect to occur. Unexpected inflation is inflation we don't expect to occur. And so that you could actually look at this in terms of, say, our nominal interest rate. Is equal to this real interest rate plus this rate of inflation. Right? So that if you have some interest rate on some loan or whatever, maybe you guys have a student loan or whatever it is, there's some interest rate here that the bank wants to get, say 5%, right? And they have some expected rate of inflation, maybe it's say 3%. They expect prices to go up on average by 3% per year. That means the rate that you're actually paying on your note is actually going to be, say, 8%, right? Because you're getting paid back in these cheaper and cheaper dollars as you're going on, right? So here you are, you're paying some amount of money, whatever the amount of money is. Let's assume it's a fixed $300 a month. If prices are increasing at 3% per year, and this guy stays the same for every single month for a long time, say, I don't know, here it is 20 years later. What's true about this $300 per month that they're paying the bank 20 years from now? It's going to be worth a whole lot less, right? So they know this and they're factoring that into this, right? 20 years later when you're paying this back, it's not worth that much. Is that clear, or do we need another example? I guess let's look at another example real quick here. So here's our consumer price index for all items. I'm just going to leave the screen up. So I don't own this home anymore, but the first home I ever bought was in August of 1997. 152.9. So here's the CPI. All right, and we know what today's is. Today it was like 247 something or another. 246.3, we'll just call it 246. So here's August of 97. Here's today, right? And so this was a really small house. It was just me and my wife. Was $39,000. I can't remember how much we put down. Let's just assume we didn't put anything down. Although we did, but I don't remember what it was. So here's our payment, right? Say $181. Here's this guy, right? We've started at some rate, all right? I mean, they're just assuming 3.77%. That wasn't what the rate was. It was higher than that, but it's fine for now. There's just some value out there, and we're going to pay this back over 30 years, right? So here, it's 20 years later, right? We're 20 years into the 30-year mortgage, still paying 181.06. How many of you guys have your rent be less than $181? Exactly, right? You guys are paying more than $181. So we can do this in lots of different ways. We can say, what is this $181 today? Or you can say, what is this today? What would this be? Or vice versa. What's this $181, right? And you can use this, our formula here, our real equals nominal times base over current, right? I'm wanting to put, here's our 181.06. I'm going to put this in base year being August 97. 152.9, 246. So we started off paying $181, bless you. 152.9 divided by 246 times 181.06. It's the equivalent of paying $112, right? They're still getting this 181, but inflation has made that 181 today only worth $112. You see what I'm saying? It's buying less stuff because prices have gone up. But this guy stays the same. He's not changing. And that $181 today only buys the bank $112. So you can think of it like this. I mean, maybe this is what they're paying their bank clerk, right? So in August of 1997, they're getting $181.06 per week for the bank clerk. And today, the bank clerk, the bank is still receiving a check for $181.06, but it doesn't buy as much stuff. It buys the equivalent of $112 back here in August of 1997. What happens if the rate of inflation, though, has this unexpected component to it? What happens if the rate of inflation is not, say, 3%, but it's actually, say, 6%? Then this guy here, if they're wanting this 5% rate of return, this guy should be 11%, right? But he's not 11%. He's fixed in contract. He's fixed at 8. So what does that mean? Yeah. They've said we expect to get this amount of money over the next 30 years, and we're getting a whole lot less than that. The exact opposite can happen, of course, too. What happens if the actual rate of inflation, they expect it to be 3, but it's not 3%, it's 2%? And here they were wanting this 5% rate of return. They were expecting 3. Now they're actually getting 9, right? It's good for them. $30 years is a long time. If people only live 90 years, and if somebody lives 90 years old, would you say they're old or would you say that's average? I'd say that's old, right? So 90 years is more than average. So if you have a 30-year mortgage, and you don't even really buy a house till you're in your 20s anyway, that gets you into your 50s. And then you can have maybe one more, right? 50, 60, 70, 80, maybe. I mean, that's a long period of time. And the bank has to get that right. If they don't get that right, they can lose big time. So it's really, really important that a bank or anybody, an insurance company, anybody, try to get this as close to 0 as possible, right? But even if you have expected inflation, we can still have problems. Let's look at what some of the problems with expected inflation could be. Can frustrate the intent of long-term contracts, right? I mean, we have a lot of long-term contracts in life. Mortgages, life insurance, pensions, loans to build factories, loans to build bridges. I mean, all kinds of stuff, right? And it can frustrate the intent of those if you have a whole lot of inflation, whether it's expected or unexpected. It can lead investors, and by investors I mean people, it can lead these people to engage in investments in things that would basically be a hedge against inflation, right? So this could be things like gold, art, coins, stamps, etc. And there's nothing inherently wrong with investing in those things, but your choice is between two different things. Your choice is between a bond that's being used by Ford to build a factory or a piece of art. And if you have a lot of inflation and you invest in the art, once again, there's nothing inherently wrong with investing in art. But if the factory doesn't get built because Ford can't raise the funds in a bond, then what happens to output over the long run? Bless you. What happens to the factory? The factory's never built, so what does that mean? Yeah, you don't have the output from that, doesn't exist, right? It acts like a tax on currency and deposits. All right? As inflation increases, what happens to the value of the dollars that you're holding? They decrease, right? Just as if prices hadn't changed and the government just raised taxes. It's the exact same effect. You have less purchasing power. That dollar buys less stuff. It acts like a tax on investment. And what we mean by this is that when something increases in value, an investment increases in value, it's subject to what's called a capital gains tax. And interestingly enough, this capital gains is not subject to inflation calculations. So let's look at an example. Let's suppose you have an asset, you bought an art or a share of stock or something or a bond or whatever, it can be anything, for $1,000. Okay. Several years go by and this guy increases in value to $1,500. All right, so here's when you purchase it. Here's when you sell it. Right? And there's several years that have come by here. So you have this capital gain here. $500, right? And you have to pay a tax on that. So let's assume that the tax, let's just make it nice and simple. Let's assume the tax is 20%. So you're going to pay a tax of $100. You have this $400 that you actually returned. Okay. Let's assume this is year 1 and this is year 10. And during this 10-year time period, prices went up 50%, right? So the price index was 100 here. And the CPI was 150 here. You still have this capital gain of 500, but in real terms, what was your gain? Nothing. If prices go up 50% over this 10-year time frame, and I bought this for $1,000 and I'm selling it for $1,500, in 10 years' time, $1,500 buys what $1,000 bought 10 years ago.
Would you lose money?
That's exactly right. So in real terms, your gain is zero, but you're going to have to pay a tax of $100 on it, meaning that you actually lost money. If people know this, what are they going to do? They're going to not invest, not buy the bond, not build the factory, not do whatever. It also acts like a tax on exchange. And what we mean by that, if you think of, we tend to think of prices increasing steadily throughout this time, right? I mean, that's what we see happening here. That's what this guy is. I mean, this guy's going up every single month, right? Blah, 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 blah. How much does a loaf of bread cost? That's some expensive bread. How much does a loaf of bread cost? About $2? You guys buy bread fairly often? Fairly often, right? How about a dryer or a washing machine? My dryer's about to go out. It's about 12 or 13 years old. I've fixed it 3 or 4 times. I think I'm getting tired of overhauling it. And I think the next time it goes out, I think I'm just going to buy another one. I've had it. How much does a dryer cost?
It costs you about $400, $400 to $500.
Now, Mike, how much will it cost in 10 years from now? Because it'll last about 10 years, right? 10 to 15 years, maybe 20, depending on how good it is and how handy you are. How much will it be in 20 years?
Probably 8.
Right? Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, let's say fairly static.
Yeah. So when this guy goes, I mean, I have a lot of experience with this guy, right? I know when bread's going up in price. We buy bread all the time, or milk, or soda, or cheese, or whatever it is that you want to think of it. You got other stuff over here that you don't buy as often. So when the price goes, so here's the price today, $400. And so Mike goes out and buys a dryer, and then it lasts 12 years. And then here it is in 2029, going out to buy another dryer again, and the price of dryers are $900. So he goes into Home Depot and says, I need a new dryer. And he's like, $900? I thought the last one I bought was like $400, wasn't it? And the wife's like, I don't know. I think it was like $400. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. These people are ripping me off. And so he goes to Lowe's, $900. And he goes to appliance store X, $900. And he goes to the other appliance store, and it's, $875 or whatever. In other words, there's lots of shoe leather costs, basically. There's lots of time sitting there thinking, is this really what the price is? Or is the price here abnormally high, or is it abnormally low, or what's going on? I mean, it's a tax on exchange. You have to expend energy on this process of buying the good or buying the service or whatever it is. If you don't buy it on a day-to-day basis, if you're not really, really familiar with it. So, inflation can cause problems even when we expect it. There's another type of inflation that can be really, really bad. This would be called hyperinflation. And hyperinflation is inflation that's just gone out of control. So there's lots of different examples of this throughout history. There's one that stands out, and that's in Germany. After World War I. Oh, I forgot to bring the note. I got a $100 trillion note in my office. I forgot to bring it. Nuts. Oh, well. I actually went on and bought this on like eBay. I'll show you one here in a few minutes. Germany after World War II, where prices went up by huge amounts. So for example, prices in 1924 were 100 trillion times higher. Than prices in 1914, right? Because Germany loses the war, and the Allies say, we're going to make you pay for this. And how do you think they paid for that? They just printed money. They said, you owe us 100 million marks this month. There you go, there's 100 million marks. Well, now the value of the mark has fallen. And they say, well, your 100 million marks doesn't buy 100 million marks next month. Now you owe us 150 million marks. There's 150 million marks. And of course, that devalues the value of this currency so that prices go up to such tremendous amounts that the economy essentially shuts down. And in fact, what people would do is they would go in and they would sit down in a restaurant, and by the time they're done eating the meal, the prices had changed. And when people go to work in the day, they're paid not weekly, not bi-weekly, not monthly, they're paid daily, and then they get to the point where they're paid 4 times a day. So they go into work, they work for 2 hours, they give them money, they say, here's money, go buy food. They try to go buy food, come back to work for 2 hours, here's some more money, because prices have already gone up. Go out, look for work, look for food, whatever it is that you need, come back to work for 2 more hours. 2 more hours later, here's money, go out, look for more stuff. And they do that again and again and again and again and again, right? And how productive can you be if you're doing that all the time? Right? So there's lots of different examples of this. Here is a table of hyperinflation, right? And you can see some of these countries here that had this problem. So you've got countries up here like Hungary in 1945 and 1946, the highest monthly inflation rate, 4.19 times 10 to the 16. Right? So prices were, the daily equivalent of inflation during that time period was 207%. Right? Zimbabwe, 98%. Zimbabwe was this one with the $100 trillion bill. I'll show you a picture of what that looks like. Look, I can't believe I forgot to bring that. This is why I don't like having class right at 8 o'clock in the morning. Complain to my wife about this every single day. Do you know why? I do not have time to sit down, drink my coffee, think about what I'm going to say for the day, blah, 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 blah. Right? I have no time to do any of that crap. It just drives me nuts. So, Zimbabwe, 100 trillion. So you can buy these guys for like $2.75 or whatever. I mean, there's the note right there, $100 trillion, right? And I went and I mine wasn't $2.75. Mine was like a whole lot more, so I should have gone with this person. Oh, no, that's a sticker. Is that a sticker? Yeah, it's a sticker. That looks pretty cool. I'm going to have to get into that. So here's the actual note itself. Right? $63. And you can kind of see, I mean, $100 trillion. And they've got all these different types of notes. Right? And they do all kinds of stuff. So let's look at how bad inflation could be. Let's use a real world example. And I'm going to use Germany. I'm going to use this guy right here. Right? So this isn't even the worst one. This is guy number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is guy number 5. 20.9% daily inflation rate, right? So clear. I saw the price of gas today was $2.17. Oops. Oops. All right. And what we're going to do is we're going to see what the price of gas is going to do when it's going up at a daily rate of 21%. Okay? So times 1 point, is it 20 or 21? 21, 1.21. Okay? So 217, let's make 217 Monday. It's easier, right? So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So there's what it is in a week, $8.24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 1 month. Okay? So here we are. In 1 month's time, it's gone from $2.17 to $451. But let's see how many days there are. Days between dates. When was our first day of class? August something? August 23rd. 2017. Finals are all done December 14. $114 days. We've got 28. 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 70. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 80. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 90. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 100. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we started gas on August whatever at $2.17, and by the end of the semester, it is 100,000 million billion, $5.9 billion for a gallon of gas. And remember, that's not even the top guy. That's this guy. Can you see the problem? Why would you sell gas today at $5.942 billion when I can hold it and sell it tomorrow at $7.2 billion? It can cause some problems. In Germany, what problems did it cause? Hitler. That's exactly right. That is exactly right, because people are ticked off. And he comes in and says, I know what the problem is. I can fix it. Sounds good. Let's elect you. And he gets in there and he says, what's the problem? The problem is Jews. Let's get rid of the Jews. That is exactly right. Okay, we could start talking about unemployment today, but we'd only have 5 minutes. So why don't we just go ahead and stop. So once we got unemployment And then we've got economic growth, and then we're ready for test number 2. So it's coming up. I'm not going to announce the date till we're all done with the material, but just know that it's coming up pretty quick.